Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's presentation from USA to Ireland, Healthcare Degrees on the Emerald Isle. We're just going to take a few more minutes for the rest of our audience to hop on, and we'll go ahead and get started. Once again, everyone, thank you so very much for joining today. We're going to wait just a few more moments for our audience to hop on, and we'll get started in just a few here. Thank you again. Okay, everyone, we are going to get started. So thank you once again for joining. So during today's presentation, feel free to use the Q&A button as seen here, which will be on the bottom of your screen, actually on the top of your screen. And please feel free to type out the questions that you have during the presentation. Our behind-the-scene team of admissions counselors is here to answer any straightforward questions that you may have, but we will save some time at the end of the presentation to address a few questions as well. If you have any nuanced or complicated questions that might be a little bit easier to ask us directly, we do encourage you to contact our office directly after the webinar. And as a friendly reminder, this webinar is being recorded and will be posted to the Atlantic Bridge YouTube page. So with all of our housekeeping out of the way, welcome everyone, or as the locals in Irish Gaelic like to say, Fáilte. My name is Lainey Nugent, and I am an admissions counselor with the Atlantic Bridge program. Now, this picture that you see of me was taken outside of one of our partner universities at the University College Cork. And it was my very first trip to Ireland, but it absolutely won't be my last, because I really did fall in love with the people, the food, the lifestyle, and of course, the landscape and history. During our time together, we'll not only focus on why Ireland is one of the best places outside of Canada and the US to study medicine, dentistry, physiotherapy, and pharmacy, but we'll also cover many of the ways that Atlantic Bridge can support and guide you through the process of applying to the healthcare programs of your choice. So, why work with us at Atlantic Bridge? Well, I'm so glad that you asked. First and foremost, the Atlantic Bridge program is the exclusive representative in North America for the Irish healthcare programs. Our entry requirements reflect the university's minimum requirements, but are also tailored to the North American education system. We've also been supporting students in their educational journeys for over 30 years, and Atlantic Bridge has helped thousands of students secure places in Ireland's world-class universities. Additionally, we've streamlined the often complicated process of applying to an overseas program. With the help of our custom portal, applying is very straightforward. With just a single set of application documents, you can apply to as few or as many of the schools as you would like. Another bonus is you'll be assigned to a dedicated admissions counselor. And the best part, we are not AI. We're real humans that are here to contact, and we'll either pick up the phone or call you back as soon as possible for any questions that you may have. Another perk, for those of you on the East Coast that is that we are on Pacific time, which means that it's 5 p.m. Toronto or in New York. Well, there's a great chance that you'll be able to reach us still, because we are hard at work. And when it comes to graduates, there are currently over 5,000 practicing clinicians in North America, and we're proud to have had the chance to support and guide them through their journey. So, why study in Ireland? Besides the Emerald Isle, as it's known, being a top-ranked professional healthcare school destination, it's also rich with history, brimming with charming cities and enchanting countrysides and calming seascapes. Another bonus is its proximity to the UK and Europe. A flight from Dublin to London, let's say, you'll arrive in less than 90 minutes and maybe even see a view like you see on your left. That is actually a photo I took when I was flying myself to Ireland. Now, when it comes to getting a cutting-edge education outside of North America, Ireland is at the top of the list. And their one big reason is they're leaders in healthcare education and research. Another big advantage is that the majority of degrees are internationally recognized. And the schools offer a modern integrated curriculum, which provides a more holistic and relevant learning experience. Depending on the type of program you choose, the duration can run anywhere between 2 to 6 years. Ireland is also a predominantly English-speaking country. While it does have two recognized languages, both Irish Gaelic and English, only 1% of the population speaks Irish, which means all of your classes, as well as daily life, are conducted in English. And finally, when it comes to culture and the student experience, Ireland truly can't be beat. In fact, every year, without fail, we hear from students who tell us how welcomed and supported they felt from the start. The Irish are legendary at being warm and welcoming, and the international student community is no exception. So now that we have covered some of the perks of studying in Ireland, let's take a look at the map to get a better idea of where the universities are located. The first stop is Queen's University Belfast in Northern Ireland, which is part of the United Kingdom. Anyone here a fan of the show Dairy Girls on Netflix? Well, Queen's University is located in the same county, Londonderry, where the show is set. Queen's University offers a traditional 4-year university campus in Belfast, which is the capital city of Northern Ireland. The next stop is the dynamic city of Dublin, which is home to 3 more schools. The first in Dublin is the University College Dublin, another traditional campus situated just a few kilometers outside of Dublin's city centre. Beyond the realm of healthcare, the university is also home to students across many academic disciplines. Next, we have the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, or as it's also known, RCSI, which offers only healthcare degrees. It's situated as a city center campus, very similar to New York University, where they teach students across instructional buildings dotted around the city. And last but not least in Dublin, we also have Trinity College Dublin, which is located in the heart of the capital. Trinity College Dublin offers a more traditional university setting with its students pursuing a range of educational disciplines. I'm so sorry, it looks like we went back on accident. One more here. And at its southernmost tip of Ireland is the University College Cork, which is where I visited. And it is once again another traditional university campus in the city of Cork, Ireland's second largest city. Cork is also the foodie capital of Ireland, boasting some of the best eats. In fact, I had one of the absolute most delicious caramelized onion burgers of my life there, and I'm excited to have it again. On the west coast is the University of Limerick, which is based in one of the oldest cities in Ireland. But, fun fact, it's home to the country's newest medical school, which was established in 1989. And if you find yourself craving the days of yore while you're in there, don't worry. This city is full of historical sites dating all the way back to the year it was established by Vikings in the year 812. That is absolutely mind-blowing. To the north is the University of Galway, which coincidentally is based in the city of Galway, and it's also known as Ireland's cultural heart. This coastal city hosts festivals and celebrations throughout the year supporting local art and artists. And finally, there's the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, Bahrain, also referred to as RCSI Bahrain, which is located in the Middle East and is a flagship campus of the RCSI Dublin campus. RCSI's commitment to building a sister campus in Bahrain was spurred from their belief in building collaborations across the globe to fulfill its 200-year mission of teaching, discovery, and engagement. The Medical University of Bahrain offers the same accreditations as RCSI's Dublin campus. The main difference is that the Middle East campus offers a slightly sunnier climate compared to their Dublin-based counterpart. So, now that you have a better understanding of the university locations, you might be saying, I want to apply, but what are my options? And to answer that question, let's start with the medicine entry requirements. And I do want to note that this presentation will cover only high-level basic requirements. I do strongly encourage you to visit our website to ensure that you meet each program's specific entry requirements, as we won't go into each program's details in depth. Now, there are 4- and 5-year programs that bachelor degree students can apply for. The first is the 4-year graduate entry medicine programs at University College Cork, University College Dublin, University of Limerick, and RCSI. You can also apply to the 5-year programs at University of Galway, Trinity College Dublin, and RCSI Bahrain. For all of these programs, once again, they will require a bachelor's degree awarded by August of year of entry. However, the 4-year schools require an MCAT and GAMSAT exam taken by January of 2026 for the fall 2026 entry, while the 5-year programs do not require an MCAT or GAMSAT. University-level courses in chemistry, biology, and either math or physics are expected to be present on your transcripts as well. Upon graduation, you will be awarded a suite of degrees that are equivalent to the US or Canadian MD degree and are recognized in North America and around the world. But what if you've started college and won't yet have a degree? If you've already started your undergraduate career, but you will not have a completed degree by year of entry, you can apply to the 5-year programs at RCSI, University College Dublin, University College Cork, and University of Galway. Candidates with this background will supply both their high school and university transcripts. The admissions committees will place emphasis on strong performance in courses pertaining to chemistry, biology, and either math or physics. And please note, if you are completing a bachelor's degree by year of entry, you will only and exclusively be considered for the 4-year programs at RCSI, University College Dublin, and University College Cork. Unfortunately, there is no 5-year pathway for bachelor's degree recipients to these 3 universities. Just as students graduating from the previously mentioned 4- and 5-year programs, you will be awarded a suite of degrees that are equivalent to the US and Canadian MD degree. Now, what if you're a student who is looking to apply directly from high school? You may apply to the 6-year programs at RCSI, University College Dublin, University of Galway, and RCSI Bahrain with just a high school diploma. These programs are geared toward younger students, and you would begin with a foundation year that focuses on pre-med coursework before entering the official 5-year medical program. And those applying to the 6-year program will want to demonstrate GPAs based off the top 6 grade 11 and 12 marks, with an average of 85% at minimum for most programs. Students are encouraged to once again have coursework in chemistry, biology, and either math or physics. But if you have taken advanced courses, specifically AP or international baccalaureate programs, you may be eligible to apply to the 5-year programs. Now, these programs are similar to the 6-year programs, but do not include a foundation year. Please note that Trinity College Dublin and University College Cork do not offer AP pathways and exclusively offer IB pathways. A brief note for the 5- and 6-year applicants to RCSI as well. The Casper Situational Judgment Test is a mandatory part of the application for RCSI. This test is used to assess social intelligence and professional characteristics such as empathy, communication, and collaboration. In this assessment, Casper presents you with hypothetical dilemmas and asks you to respond based on your ethical judgment and personal values. Absolutely no clinical experience or training is required for this evaluation. And once again, this is exclusively for 5- and 6-year program applicants, and graduate entry medicine program applicants to the 4-year program are not asked to take this exam. All international baccalaureate students will be expected to take chemistry at the higher level and on average need a 36 total minimum score across their 6 exams, exclusive of bonus points, to apply. Additionally, for IB program students, University College Cork, University College Dublin, Trinity College Dublin, and the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, Bahrain, will require you to take all 6 IB examinations in one session, which will usually be spring of your grade 12 year. Some of your schools may not give you the opportunity to take all 6 IB exams in 1 year, but that means you may only apply to RCSI and the University of Galway's 5-year programs. Additionally, U.S. applicants are asked to submit their ACT and SAT exam scores if applying to University College Dublin, University of Galway, and RCSI. Once again, you will be awarded a suite of degrees that are equivalent to the Canadian or US MD degree. When it comes to support while abroad, you are in absolutely great hands, especially as you prepare for residency. NIMSA, or the North American Irish Medical Student Association, is a student-led organization that exists across most of the Irish universities. Through NIMSA, upper years provide guidance and support to the lower years, and the organization works closely with the school's international teams to hold social events and informational sessions for their peers. Board examination preparation for the US MLE and MCCQE, both residency application qualifying exams, and they are incredibly important for North Americans looking to return home. Support services include NIMSA informational presentations, study materials, and resources, along with simulated exams. The universities will also conduct check-in points throughout the program to ensure that you're on track. Atlantic Bridge has also coordinated with the schools to co-facilitate a career prep program to support students during their studies in Ireland by connecting with them and a mentor, a specifically North American physician, about their residency plans. The mentor will provide guidance based on the student's CV, academic performance, and their goals for residency. The final step before applying to residency, of course, is completing the applications. The universities are very accommodating, within reason, for the licensing exams and residency program interviews. The schools also offer interview strategy resources, along with career centers that offer CV building workshops and personal statement support. And another student-run program is the Teddy Bear Hospital at the University of Galway. It's an annual event that helps kids get more comfortable going to the doctor. So let's take a quick look at this short video. One moment, please. There is subtitles. It does appear that the audio is not fully operational today. I do apologize. Don't worry, I can't read the Irish Gaelic either. And I do recommend that you check out that video yourself. I do apologize that the audio was not working with us today, but it is so sweet to hear those kids get so excited about visiting these student doctors at the Teddy Bear Hospital, because I absolutely wish that going to the doctor was as cute as this. And a quick fun fact, Jessica, the doctor featured in the video, is actually an Atlantic Bridge student. The University of Galway's Teddy Bear Hospital was founded back in 2006 by their Sláinte Society, which is their health promotion society. Apologize for my pronunciation there, and has been replicated across other Irish universities, including RCSI and the University of Limerick. Not only does this give local Irish children a chance to experience the healthcare system in a welcoming and engaging manner without the fears brought on by a hospital setting, but the medical students are able to continue their bedside manner development as well. The Irish healthcare system, not just in medicine, but across various fields, firmly believes in the power of early patient contact during your program, and often begins between one semester and 1 year ahead of their peers in US or Canadian medical schools. Students will see an emphasis placed on the development of their bedside manner along with their medical knowledge in a clinical setting. And when graduating from an Irish medical school, residency programs in North America know the quality of care that is built into the Irish curriculum, giving you a bonus when applying back home for residency. Now that we've talked at length about medicine, let's go ahead and dive into those dentistry programs. Now, I know what you're thinking. This must be a medieval torture device. Unfortunately, and fortunately for you, it's not. And this is actually a dental chair from roughly the turn of the 20th century on display at RCSI. Back in 1884, RCSI appointed Ireland and the UK's first ever professor of dentistry, Dr. Theodore Stack. That was almost 150 years ago. Today, the university is thrilled to offer a new dental program starting in the fall of 2025 and welcome students into a brand new state-of-the-art facility with upgraded chairs. Impressive, right? Now, compared to the small groups, or comprised of the small groups, Irish dental students and programs ensure that every student has their own patient chair, whether it's in person with a mannequin or a real person, to provide hands-on, realistic experiences to the students as part of their curriculum. With emphasis on supporting underserved Irish community members, these patient-oriented programs not only allow students to make positive impacts in urban and rural areas, but they graduate with the knowledge and skills to be incredible dentists for any patient. So let's take a quick peek at the entry requirements. The 5-year programs at University College Cork, Trinity College Dublin, the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, and Queen's University Belfast will require a bachelor's degree awarded by August of year of entry. University-level students are encouraged to take courses in chemistry, biology, and either math or physics. And these are expected to be present on your transcript, along with a letter of recommendation from a practicing dentist or dental professional. There are also 5-year programs for students applying without an undergraduate degree. If you are a student who is partway through their college degree or you will have completed your high school diploma by year of entry, you can apply to Queen's University Belfast only. If you're a high school student who is presenting an IB diploma, you may apply to RCSI. Candidates are also required to present a letter of recommendation from a practicing dentist or dental professional. You will receive a Bachelor's of Dental Science, or BDS, from the Irish Dental Schools upon graduation. While the degrees are recognized globally, to be eligible for licensing in the United States, graduates of the Irish dental schools will likely be required to complete additional training in a school of dentistry located in the United States. And as I previously shared, RCSI's dental program is new, and dental programs in Ireland receive full accreditation upon the graduation of their first class. RCSI is working closely with Ireland's Dental Council in order to ensure full accreditation to be awarded upon the conferral of their first graduating class for the degree in dentistry, which will happen in the year 2030. So you've heard about medicine and you've heard about dentistry. So now let's chat about the final 2 programs, physiotherapy and pharmacy. Applicants who will complete an undergraduate degree by August of the year of entry in areas such as kinesiology, anatomy, physiology, biomedical science, or sports and exercise science may apply to the 2-year programs at University College Dublin and University of Limerick. If you're a student who is partway through their college degree, or you will have completed a high school diploma by the year of entry, you may apply to the 3- or 4-year program at RCSI. Please note that the university graduates may also apply to RCSI. Also, all physiotherapy students should seek experience in a physiotherapy clinic. The University College Dublin campus also requires a letter of recommendation from a licensed physiotherapist. Pharmacy keeps it very, very easy for you. As long as you have completed a high school diploma by year of entry at minimum, you may apply at any point in your education to the 5-year programs at University College Cork, Trinity College Dublin, and RCSI. The 2-year physiotherapy program at University College Dublin and University of Limerick award an MSc in physiotherapy, and RCSI awards a BSc in physiotherapy. The pharmacy programs all award a master's in pharmacy. Much like medicine and dentistry, the degrees are recognized around the world. And you've heard it several times now, but to reiterate once more, candidates for both the physiotherapy and pharmacy programs are encouraged to have chemistry, biology, and either math or physics courses on their academic records. And we are almost done, I promise, but I wanted to share with you how Atlantic Bridge can support the creation and completion of your application. So let's quickly take a look at our website for those of you who may have or may have not visited it before. When you first log on to atlanticbridge.com, on the homepage, you will see the iconic Campanelle Bell Tower on Trinity College Dublin's campus. And above the bell tower, you'll also see a navigation bar on the top of your screen, or on the side of your screen if visiting on mobile. I wanted to highlight a few elements that I would encourage you to review after this presentation. First and foremost, the Programs tab will take you to pages that detail entry requirements for each university. I want to stress one more time that you should review the program requirements for each university, as there are specific details each university requires that are distinct from the next and were not covered in today's presentation. Under the Student Experience tab, you'll also find information about licensing in both the US and Canada, which is really valuable information if you're looking to return for a career in North America. This will also give you access to the medical licensing in the UK and Ireland page if you find yourself wanting to become a physician in Ireland. The Help and Guidance tab is home to our Student Stories page, which is a great collection of reflections from current Atlantic Bridge students and alumni who've wanted to share their stories with prospective students like you. Finally, the Application Guideline tab is a great resource for all things related to creating your application. The FAQ page in particular is packed with great information about applying and what to expect throughout the process. And if there's something you can't find or want to know more about, you're always encouraged to contact our team for support. To formally start the application process, click on either of the two green buttons that you'll see on the lower left or upper right of our homepage, or you may scan the QR code that you see on screen. Once you've clicked either of these buttons or gone through that QR code, you'll be taken to the application request form, which is where you'll provide some basic information about your academic background that'll give you access to the Atlantic Bridge application packet. The form looks a little bit like this, and do make sure that you select the right year of entry. For fall 2026 entry, you'll want to select 2026, and ensure that you also select yes for question 1 regarding your high school diploma if it's true. This is required to ensure and confirm that you meet all academic minimum requirements for all of our programs. After submitting the form, you'll be sent an application packet via email with information on what schools and programs you're eligible to apply for based on the information you just provided on this form. You will also find links to the application instructions page, guide to letters of recommendation page, and our comprehensive FAQ page, along with information about fees and deadlines. A quick note for U.S. applicants, RCSI is the only school that participates in the U.S. federal loan program. While this information is also posted around our website, it's noted in the application packet for your convenience. As you scroll further in the application packet, you'll most importantly find the link to create your Atlantic Bridge portal account, which is where you'll formally begin your application, pay your fees, and update your supporting documents. It clicked through once too far. There we go. Once you've created an account on the Atlantic Bridge portal, you'll log in and fill out an initial application, which is where you will input contact information, academic information, and some other basic details. If you're a reapplying candidate, you will go through the same process year to year as we remove all former applications from the previous cycle in order to start the next one. Please note that you cannot click back in the application, so please fill it out to the best of your ability, and any changes can be made by your admissions counselor on the back end if you miss an item in the application itself. Upon completing the initial application, you will want to select your discipline and schools. You can also apply to multiple disciplines using the same application, as previously mentioned. Now, you do not select a program length when applying, which I know confuses some people. The admissions committees, oh goodness, technology. There we go. You will not be selecting the program length when applying to the universities because the admissions committees will assess your application based on the highest academic level you've achieved, and they will determine which program would be best suited for you. After this school selection is made, you will be emailed by your assigned admissions counselor within 1 to 2 business days. Before you begin to upload any of your documents, I strongly recommend that you review this application process video for more information. And you may even hear a familiar voice when watching, and that would be me. Now, there are several documents that you will be able to submit yourself before our team can complete your application. The documents that you will submit directly to the Atlantic Bridge portal are as follows: a 2-page personal statement, a 2-page resume or CV, which stands for curriculum vitae. You can submit your courses in progress document if applicable, and a document that you type up yourself will be demonstrated in a sample that you'll receive in your application acknowledgement email from your admissions counselor. This document will detail the current and upcoming courses you have for this school year. And finally, you may upload test and exam scores if applicable. Now, please note that the only exam score that should be submitted separately would be your MCAT exam, and that should be submitted through the AAMC to Atlantic Bridge. We'll also need the following documents. The first are your official transcripts, which should be sent by your school to us at Atlantic Bridge. We will also need 2 letters of recommendation, which will be uploaded by your letter writers to the letter of recommendation portal. So if you're wondering, can I send in or upload my own transcripts or letters of recommendation? Well, the answer is a resounding no, and your counselor will let you know if we notice that you try to submit something that wasn't quite submitted correctly. One of my favorite questions that students ask is, how can I stand out in the application process? Well, when the Irish schools are assessing your applications, they review your applications holistically. So it's encouraged to present your best self in all aspects of your application. First and foremost, the Irish schools are seeking high marks in science and math subjects. You'll want to demonstrate high grades in these type of courses on your transcript. And those courses, one more time for everyone, are chemistry, biology, and either math or physics. Letters of recommendation are also a frequently underappreciated element of the application for the impact that they hold. I encourage you to seek out individuals who can speak highly of you and provide context about who you are from a third-party perspective. And I strongly discourage you from asking family members or close loved ones to write these letters. And I have seen in my time here letters from students' best friends, mom, and even grandpa. And I'm sure that all of these individuals would have wonderful tidbits to share about you with the admissions committees. But the admissions committees would much rather have a letter from a teacher, a professor, employer, volunteer coordinator, or even physician that you've worked with. The personal statement is also a place for you to share your journey with the schools. Since you will only have 2 pages to work with, make sure that you focus on the question, why are you interested in studying the discipline of your choice, and what steps have you taken to achieve your goal? Now, this is a perfect time to bring your loved ones into the application process to read the personal statement and see if there's anything important from your journey that you might be missing. Volunteering and shadowing experience is great to have on your application as well. For dentistry and physiotherapy applicants, you are expected to have relevant experience in the respective fields, but it benefits all applicants to have letters from individuals in the fields you're looking to pursue. After all, the universities want to ensure that you know the healthcare environment that you'll hopefully be working in. These types of experiences are great to include on a well-rounded CV or resume. You're encouraged to include anything that both pertains to the healthcare field of your choice and also experiences and activities that you're passionate about outside the realm of healthcare. After all, you're probably not studying 24/7, 365, and have some other activities that bring you joy as well. Now, just a final few tidbits before I let you go today. First and foremost, applications are now open and you can start yours right now if you wish. The deadline to submit your application fee is November 15th. Now, please note that application fees are non-refundable, and fees that are submitted after November 15th are subject to increased fee costs. You can also submit your supporting documents either before or after the November 15th deadline. However, we strongly encourage you that have all of your supplementary documents submitted no later than late November to allow ample time for the manually document processing time. The Irish schools will also begin assessing applications for the first round of the rolling admissions process in January. Rolling admissions with the Irish universities means that the admissions process is ongoing, and there's no specific date by which final decisions will be made. Available seats in the program determine how many students and seats are still available, and the uptake of students accepting or not accepting a place in the program impacts the remaining number of seats for the next round of assessments. If you'd like to be included in the first assessment, which is also the assessment that gives you the best chance possible of being considered for these programs, we advise you to complete all of your application materials, including supplementary documents with your personal statement, CV or resume, transcripts, and letters of recommendation, and so forth by December 15th. First round interviews may take place as early as February or March. And once again, for the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, the Casper test is a requirement in order to proceed into the next round of their process, which is interviewing. Finally, should you need anything from our team, feel free to give us a call or send us an email. As you can see from the presentation, there are a lot of moving parts, and that's why we at Atlantic Bridge are here to help you. Phew! I know that was a lot of information to take in, right? I'm thirsty, so I'm gonna have a quick sip of water. Let's take a moment to rest our brains and take a deep breath. And bask in the beauty of the cliffs of Moher. Aren't they absolutely lovely? I hope to see them myself soon. Now, let's open up our Q&A because I have talked at length and I want to know your questions. So please use the Q&A buttons above and add yours as well. We've got a great question here about how can a US student take the Casper test? Well, when you first apply with us and first submit an application request form, you'll receive an email containing information about how to register, but mainly you will be able to go onto the Casper website. It's hosted by a company called Acuity Insights, and you'll be able to register. But the application packet will contain all the information you need in order to register for the exam. Great question there. I see another question here. Let's see. If I only took college courses during my junior and senior year of high school, I'm currently an undergraduate student, am I eligible to apply to Trinity College Dublin for the 5-year medical program? So if you're currently an undergraduate student and you will have a bachelor's degree by August of next year, so August of 2026, then yes, you may apply to Trinity College Dublin. But if you've not yet completed a bachelor's degree, then you may not apply to that university. See here, we've got another question. This one looks like it might have been answered, but I'll ask it anyway because I think this is a good one. If an applicant has a committee or composite letter with multiple individual letters included in it from their pre-health advisor, is a second letter of recommendation still needed? And so the answer is no, you don't need to have a second letter submitted, but if the individual committee letter contains a bunch of individual letters from referees themselves, we may ask you to submit a request, only 2 of them to be utilized in your application. The rest will be made available for the universities to review if they ask for it. We have another question here about the age requirement. So is it mandatory to be 18 by next year in order to apply? So for 3 of the universities, University College Dublin, University of Galway, and the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, Bahrain, you may be 17 years old by January of your first year in the program. So by January of 2027, January 15th of 2027, as long as you're 17 years old, you may apply to that program. This year, RCSI has been toying with the idea of changing their end age requirement, but they haven't given us a firm decision at this moment. So please check back with us in a few days' time. I'd say early next week, we might have a stronger answer for you there. We have a question here. I did not take biology or chemistry courses at college this semester, but I do have some scientific courses on my transcript along with my IB diploma with HL courses, that's higher level courses, in chemistry and biology. It would depend on when you took these courses, how long ago from your university to high school career that was. So if you just graduated high school this past spring, summer, and you're now in university, they may be able to have a little bit of leeway with the acceptance. It's really up to the admissions committees, but I would say as much as possible, you're going to want to have active university level chemistry, biology, and math or physics courses, because that's the university's ability to see, are you at the caliber needed to be successful in a 5-year program? So I would say as much as possible, yes. But if you want to, go ahead and give us a call after the webinar and we'd be happy to chat with you a little bit more there. Let's see, we've got some other good questions coming in. Let's start, go down here. Let's see, got a good question here about class profiles. So we're wondering if for the 4-year programs, and that's programs that require a graduate entry medicine bachelor's degree in order to apply. This person is wondering, as a student who completed a bachelor's degree and has been out of school for a few years, they're curious if the 4-year programs, specifically at University College Dublin and RCSI, tend to have many students that would be in their age range. So does the Atlantic Bridge program see many students that are in their mid-20s or older, or would you say that the class tends to be younger students? And I would say it does change a little bit year to year. For the most part, I would say that the 4-year programs are people who have graduated university that year or graduated university within a 2 to 3 year margin, usually when they start the program. So I'd say most students are in their 20s in the graduate entry medicine program, but that being said, people who are even older do gain access and get admission into the program in their 30s. And I've even seen someone in their 40s, I believe, or very late 30s get into the program. So it is a wide range, but I would say overall, for the most part, for the 4-year programs, it's early to mid 20s. Another one here is, do I submit one application for all colleges? And is there only one personal statement for all schools? So for the applications, yes, you can submit one application to all the universities. That being said, they are slightly broken up by discipline so that you may submit multiple different personal statements. Let's say you wanted to have one a little more tailored to the dental program and one a little more tailored to the medicine program. You can have 2 different documents submitted for those different applications, or you could use the exact same one if you wanted to. If they're aligned, I would just say, make sure you don't write, I'm really interested in the medicine program in your dental application, and vice versa. But you may utilize, in theory, all the same documents for your applications, but just make sure you reread them before you fully submit your application. We got another question here about U.S. federal loans. I see one of my colleagues answered this, but I'll just briefly touch on it. Since U.S. federal loans are not accepted for most of the universities, are private loans accepted? Yes, for the most part, private loans are accepted, with the exception of RCSI Bahrain. And this can be found on our website, or as my colleague posted, there's a link to the financial aid page. We're going to archive this question, but you can find it in the archived element of the Q&A portion here. We also have a, how competitive are the 4-year GEM programs for US students, and what are the average MCAT scores for those accepted? So on kind of averages and competition level, it's really hard to gauge because it does change year to year. The competition pool does look a little bit different depending on when and how you are applying and what background you bring. I would say that year to year, it does seem to get a little bit more competitive each year. So for having a strong application, once again, you're definitely going to want to have those chemistry, biology, and math or physics courses to demonstrate competitiveness and, of course, high grades. The universities overall tend to have a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale minimum requirement. Some schools such as University College Cork and Trinity College Dublin have increased in recent years to a 3.3 minimum average. And if you utilize the OMSAS conversion table, the universities use that for Canadian students if you're a Canadian student, but may also have US ties. But for US students, the 4.0 scale is equivalent between the way that the Irish schools look at it and the way that the US academic system goes off of the 4.0 system. Average MCAT scores are going to look very different depending on which school you're referring to here. But I'd say the minimum to be considered for most of the schools is at least a 503, with the exception of University of Limerick, which has a 500. University College Cork has increased their minimum requirement to a 505. So making sure you're meeting those minimum requirements is crucial, and exceeding them is definitely going to be better and better for your application. But feel free to give our office a call if you want to chat a little bit about your own background, and we can help guide you towards a program that might be best suited with your academic background. We have another question about financial aid and scholarships. So what financial aid or scholarships may apply to me? I'm a Canadian citizen, but also a permanent resident of the US and did all of my high school in the US. That's a really good question here. I would say from my understanding and experience, Canadian students would have access to Canadian federal loans. And then for the US, the only federal loan that is available to US citizens and permanent residents, I know have a little bit different qualifications. But US residents are able to utilize federal loans towards one school, the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland. So I would say it's in your best interest to try to utilize Canadian federal loans where possible, because those are going to be far more accessible to you as a Canadian for the universities in Ireland. But feel free to reach out to our team as well, and we can chat with you a little bit more about this. And let's see, is there preparation required for CASPER, and how hard is this for US applicants? So preparation for CASPER, I wouldn't say there really is a preparation that you can do for this exam in a way that you might be able to prepare for the SAT or the ACT. Once again, the CASPER exam is there to help identify and evaluate your ethical judgments. So for example, one of the questions you may be presented with is that you are a store manager of a toy store. And at the toy store, you get a customer coming in who wants to return a toy that they bought. And your employee is the one supporting this customer. Now, your store has a policy that you may only do returns if there is a receipt, and this customer does not have a receipt. And the reason they want to return this toy is because they have to pay for a very expensive surgery. And this toy, unfortunately, is not something that they can continue to afford, and it hadn't been opened yet. So they wanted to return it. But once again, they don't have a receipt. And your store policy says you can't return an item without a receipt. But this customer is also sharing, once again, that they have a very expensive surgery that they're trying to cover, and they really need the money. What would you do in that scenario as the toy store manager? And those are the situations you get presented with in the CASPER. So there's not really a way to prepare for them. But I would say in order to prepare, there are a few links on the CASPER website for example questions. You can just get a taste for what kinds of questions outside of the example I just gave might look like. Feel free to give our team a call. We can give you a access and send you the link to this page, and that way you can get a little bit more insight. Once again, it's not necessarily something that you are able to prepare for, and there is a mock test that is available prior to your actual test, so you can practice in that capacity. Okay, we got a couple more questions in here as well. Let's see. Do most people who complete medical school in Ireland through this program return to their home countries afterward? And are there any pathways for people who want to practice medicine in Ireland and for Irish citizenship? So I can talk to definitely two of those points here. So I'd say most of the students who go to the Irish schools are looking to return home, and the Irish schools are very, very adept and excited to help support students who want to make that return home possible. So I'd say most students are looking to return home, but there are students who are interested in staying in Ireland and practicing there. There are some specific ways you'll want to get involved in what they call their internship program, which is equivalent to the residency opportunities that take place in North America. And there is a page on our website dedicated to talking about how to become a physician in Ireland. Some students will take part in the UK Foundation Year, which is a paid internship opportunity to help get their applications stronger for these internship programs. But once again, I would recommend viewing our website. It should be under the student experience tab, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go back to that slide so we can just all look at it together. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, there's so many slides. I'll point it out. Would probably been faster to open this up, huh? All right, under the Health and Guidance tab is where you're going to find that. It is Student Experience. Under Student Experience, you'll see the Irish and UK licensing. So definitely check out that page for yourself there. Okay. Got another question here about when are the supporting documents such as letters of recommendation due? So you can submit those anytime. I would say you definitely should have those documents in well before December 15th. So our entire team manually processes each document that comes in. It has to get physically looked at by our team in order to get added to your application. And during our busy time, which is usually the beginning of December, usually the entire month of December, usually it takes a couple days to process, somewhere between 3 and 5 business days. In previous years, we've seen it jump up to 10, even 14 business days to take to process documents, because sometimes students wait till the last minute. I know that you guys will be diligent and not do that for us, but if you end up in a situation like that, we do ask that you try to submit documents as soon as possible. But I would say the very latest I would recommend to ensure that your applications are completed in a timely manner would be the end of November, the beginning of December. Let's see, I know on the website there's a list of student experiences, but is there a database or list of alumni or current students that we could reach out to hear about more of their experiences? So unfortunately, we are not able to share and disclose student contact details. That's just not something that we are allowed to share. A few of the students on the student experiences and student stories page have listed their Instagrams or other social media platforms, so you can attempt to reach out to them there. We can't guarantee that they will be able to contact you back. But some of the universities are able to connect you with current students. It just is a matter of if they have student ambassadors who are also Atlantic Bridge students that might be available to work with you. And my colleague also shared that the NIMSA Association, North American Irish Medical Student Association, is another great place you can reach out to. They have a website that you're welcome to see. It's NIMSA, NIMSA .I as an igloo, E as an egg. So NIMSA.ie is a great place that you can check them out. Got another one here. Typical GPA for students with a bachelor's degree for the 4-year program. Once again, it's hard to say that there's like a specific GPA that's going to make you an absolutely successful candidate. It's a holistic picture. So it's not just your GPA, it's everything else in your application. The minimum criteria, once again, is going to be, for the most part, a 3.0 across the board, with the exception of University College Cork and Trinity College Dublin, which require a 3.3. But I would say competitive students are definitely presenting GPAs higher than those minimum requirements, because minimums allow you to be assessed, but that doesn't guarantee you a place in the program. We do see it is quite competitive for medical school, and you want to have a competitive application where possible. Are applicants that are from the home and international pool reviewed in the same pool? Is there a limit on the number of international students that can be accepted? A great question here. So no, Atlantic Bridge students are assessed entirely separately from Irish or even European Union-based applicants. And that's why Atlantic Bridge exists, because we are a space and a place for those students to be assessed. There is a limit to the number of international students that can be accepted, but we have ties with the universities that give us specific numbers of Atlantic Bridge seats. Now, we don't have those numbers right now. Those usually become available in late winter. So a little bit into 2026 is when we'll know rough numbers. But each program does have an allotted number of spaces, and it does slightly change year to year. Some programs have only a few spots. For example, Trinity College or University College Cork, their 5-year program typically has about 10 spaces, whereas some other programs for the 5-year program may have 20 or 30 spaces. For the graduate entry medicine program, some schools have somewhere between 20 and 40 spaces, or there's the University of Limerick that tends to have close to 100 spaces. So it really depends on the program you're applying to and the year that you're applying in, but that's a rough gauge for you. And feel free to reach out to our team if you want to know a little bit more specifics from the previous cycle. The question about APs, 554, does it mean that students should get 2 5s from any subjects or chem and bio? So the AP requirements, the 554s that you're seeing, are referring to chemistry, biology, and then either math or physics. I would say the strongest, most competitive applicants are definitely getting 5s in the chemistry and the biology fields. But for the most part with the universities, it's 554 for any of those kind of 3 subject areas: chemistry, biology, and math or physics. But feel free to reach out to our team if you have questions about your own specific application. And then we have questions about scholarships for RCSI. So unfortunately, there are currently no scholarships offered for international students, not only with RCSI, but with all of the Irish schools. And that is upon entry. Now, some schools may create or have opportunities for scholarships after you start the program, but that's ultimately up to the universities if they decide that that's something they're open to participating in. We have a question about how can I add another school to my application after already starting and selecting a school? You can go ahead and reach out to your admissions counselor and they'll be able to add that for you on the back end. Just go ahead and send them an email, or if you haven't yet heard from your admissions counselor, you can just contact admissions@atlanticbridge.com for that request. And is RCSI being affected by the recent changes to the graduate student loans in the US? And do they expect to continue to qualify for them? So RCSI has not been affected to date. Obviously, things have been changing over the past couple of months. But as far as we know and as far as we can tell, everything is still in place for students to be able to qualify, and the university still continues and expects to continue to qualify for them. But feel free to reach out to the university directly if you do have questions with regards to U.S. federal loans. Our team is not the experts when it comes to financial aid, but the universities themselves, because they work with students and work with the financial aid entities, can maybe answer that for you in a little bit more detail directly. Is CASPER required for applying to Trinity College, Dublin, or University of Galway? No, it's only the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland's 5- and 6-year programs that will require that. And once again, graduate entry medicine students will not be asked to take that exam. Don't register for the exam, even if you are a graduate entry medicine student. It will not impact your application one way or another. And don't take an exam you don't have to, and you're not required to take. Save yourself some time, my friends. Got another couple questions here. Let's see. What kind of financial aid and scholarships may apply to me if they're a Canadian citizen and U.S. permanent resident? I think we already answered this question. But once again, Canadian citizens qualify for federal aid no matter what province they live in or reside in. U.S. permanent residents might be in a little bit more of a special case. I'm not too sure off the top of my head, but if you reach out to our team directly after the webinar, we can chat with you a little bit more here. What percentage of U.S. graduates match into U.S. residencies, and which specialties are common? So as far as residencies go, our team does not hear back from students directly necessarily regarding the residency programs they match into. It's not something they're required to report to us. It's not something they're required to report to the universities. On our website, if you go under that student experience tab, oh, the one that's on our screen, perfect. The residencies portion will give you an overview of the entire database that we have access to, all the information that we have access to for residencies going back through, I believe it's 2011. And our residency matching for 2025 are in the process of working and being posted. They might now be posted. Our IT team has been diligently working to get those up for us, but we don't have match rates, unfortunately, because not everyone is required to participate in the letting us know of which programs they've matched into. I'd say specialties that tend to be common are family medicine, pediatrics, internal medicine. Really, when it comes to international medical graduates, there are some specialties that have a lot more spaces compared to other specialties. So it's more so for Canadian students. US students, you're a little bit more in the clear because there are just more opportunities in the US. But I know Canadian students, for example, like neurosurgery or very specific specialties might only have a handful of places for international medical graduates. So that means those options would be limited. Now, that being said, Atlantic Bridge students have previously gotten those very competitive places previously. It's just a matter of how competitive the application is in the grand scheme of the residency applications that year. The minimum MEMCAT requirements is a 503 with 500 for University of Limerick and 505 for University College Cork. Is there information about average MCAT scores and what's considered competitive? So I'd say on average, students in the higher 500, so 508, 509, going into the 510s, are going to be more competitive overall. But that being said, the applications are holistic. So as long as you meet minimum requirements, you may still be eligible to get an offer to the program, but it really just depends on the competition level for that year. So just making sure you meet minimum requirements is absolutely great. And the higher score that you have, the better it's going to be for your application. We have dual citizenship questions. So if you're a dual citizen for the US and Canada, are there any advantages for this? I'd say the advantages might be accessibility to RCSI for federal loans for the US, but there's no negative to being a dual citizen. It would just give you kind of a small leg up with regards to financial aid for specifically RCSI Dublin. This probably depends on the school, but do you know if the U.S. students often complete clinical electives or clerkships back in the U.S. during the program or during the summers? Yes, students absolutely do participate in clinical electives back in North America, and I would say it's strongly recommended that you do so, at least for a short spell, because residency applications like to see, hey, do you know what the healthcare system is like in the country that you're looking to pursue your career in? So as much as possible, yes, definitely try to take advantage of those clinical electives. The universities themselves will have kind of lists of places that students have previously done their clinical electives at, but it is going to be your responsibility to apply for those opportunities. So take advantage of them as best as you can, because once again, it's going to bode well for your residency applications in the long term. And let's see here. Any other questions? It looks like we might be shoring up here and finishing a little early, which would be great for you. I'd love to give you some time back to your day, but I'll give you guys a few more moments just to see if there's any final questions we might have. And make sure we're asking questions in the Q&A. The chat is not being as monitored here because the Q&A is a little easier to organize for us. Stick around for just a few more moments. Oh, we got some more questions in here. Woohoo! All righty, let's see what we got. You're a dual Irish and American citizen. Does that give you an advantage? You know what? Go ahead and give us an app or send us an application, because it may impact your application depending on how you are eligible to apply. EU citizens are asked to apply directly to the universities and not through Atlantic Bridge, because through Atlantic Bridge, you may only qualify for non-EU fees. If you think you might qualify for EU fees, reach out to the universities directly, because if you get an offer through Atlantic Bridge, you may not change your status. You are set to be a non-EU tuition payer the entire time of your program. So reach out to our team. We'll see what about with regards to your application, how you might be eligible to apply. But it doesn't give you an advantage in that it changes your eligibility for the programs, specifically with regards to if you it doesn't positively or negatively impact your application is what I'm saying, with the exception of if it changes your eligibility for how you must apply to these programs. Does Ireland have a physician scientist-like roles? Do they have something analogous to an MD or PhD? So the programs that we support are taught programs that give you a suite of degrees that are equivalent to an MD program. But as far as kind of research-based programs, wouldn't be able to speak on that, unfortunately. So you'd want to reach out to the school directly with questions pertaining to those type of programming. What is the timeline range for the school's decisions? A great question here. So for timelines, it is a little bit different than the North American system. It is Irish schools, and therefore they follow their own patterns. The earliest decisions you may hear might be as early as February. The latest might be as August, because once again, they offer offers to the programs in rounds, and the rounds are not consistent across universities. They're not even consistent year to year. It really just depends on how many students accept from the first round, how many spaces are still open after those students have accepted their places, and how many more offers this university can give out. And that process just takes a bit some time. So once again, February to August is the timeline to expect to hear back from these schools. Most students, I would say, would hear back by by late June, even into July. But August, I have seen some students get offers in August, and our team works diligently with students to make sure that they're ready to go, and even if they do get a late offer. Does our admissions counselor check the recommendation letters that were submitted to follow the guidelines? I saw if the guidelines aren't met, the university's committees won't accept it. So yes, our team, that's why we say we manually process our documents. We're reading through all of your materials to make sure that you are meeting expectations and the letters are meeting expectations. If anything is misaligned, we'll reach out to your admissions counselor or reach out to your referee, and your admissions counselor will also reach out to you if there's a kind of a glaring issue, because we want to make sure those letters are accepted by the universities and are read. For the graduate entry medicine program, will they include I'm going to just say the acronym, post-bac courses and the minimum GPA calculation? So no, post-bac courses are considered separately, but they are considered as part of the overall academic assessment. So definitely, if you've taken post-bac courses, make sure you let our team know in your application so that we can request those transcripts, because those do impact the decision-making process. They will just not impact your undergraduate cumulative GPA. A couple more questions here. If I have a degree but scored low on the MCAT, will I be considered for the 5-year program? So once again, if you have a degree, you may apply to the 5-year programs at Trinity College Dublin, University of Galway, and RCSI Bahrain, and they do not require an MCAT. Even if you submit one, they won't know that you took it. So you can apply to those 5-year programs, but for the 4-year programs at University College Cork, University College Dublin, RCSI Dublin, and the University of Limerick, they will require an MCAT. And if you don't meet minimum criteria, you may not be selected for admission, or you may not even be assessed, because they do have those minimums in place for a reason. How are graduate degrees, MS or PhD, viewed on applications? Are there opportunities for medical students to participate in medical research? So graduate degrees are very much something that the universities will consider. The essential basis of the application will be assessed predominantly on your undergraduate degree and undergraduate GPA, but those courses and those elements of the application are part of that holistic assessment. So they will consider those elements as well. As far as medical research goes, it will a little bit depend university to university, but there are opportunities to participate in some research opportunities. You'll just want to reach out to the universities directly. Oops, I'm skipping through slides here, in order to participate in medical research. And we can help you find the best contact for the schools if you're struggling to figure out who to ask there. We have a question about APs, AP biology and chemistry for this year, but we want 6-year offer, not 5-year conditional to the AP. Is there any way we can request that? If you will not be taking AP chemistry, AP biology, and AP math or physics, you'll only be considered for the 6-year program. So that would be, yeah, if you're only taking 2 of the 3 APs required, you still only meet the 6-year program requirements. You wouldn't meet 5-year program requirements there. Is it better to have the MCAT applying to Dublin or Galway, or can you still be competitive without that? So once again, Trinity College Dublin and University of Galway do not consider the MCAT. If you even write on the application, hey, I've taken the MCAT, we scrub that information off of your application, because the universities will not assess the MCAT if you're applying to, once again, Trinity College Dublin or Galway. Are they doing early consideration this year? So I think a lot of people ask about early consideration or different timelines for assessment. So all applicants that complete their application, whether they completed it on the day we opened, August 1st, some people do that, or if you complete it by or on December 15th, all applicants in that time range are considered in the same boat for the first round. So that's quote unquote early consideration, but it's not in the same capacity that early consideration is used in North American schools. So yeah, only one entry point per year. That's going to be fall of each year. There's no January entry. So all that to say is complete your application well before December 15th, and you will be considered for the first round offers. Let's see here. Does that mean if the undergraduate GPA does not meet the minimum, then the application will not be assessed? I would say this is more for the MCAT that the minimums are really upheld. CGPAs, because GPA is a little bit of a toss-up sometimes with how it's presented on a transcript versus how the universities are assessing things. They're going to look at the applications. Now, if you're clocking in at a 2.7 or a 2.8 GPA and the minimum is a 3.0, I'm going to say your application is just not going to be competitive. Very transparently, we don't want you guys to waste your money and apply for schools you may not be considered for. So I'd say if you meet minimum criteria, you should apply. But if you don't quite meet minimum criteria, it might be in your best interest to save your application for schools that you do. So if you're like at a 3.0 GPA, you probably will not be considered for University College Cork or Trinity College Dublin because you need a 3.3 to apply. But you can still be considered at University College Dublin or University College Cork. But I wouldn't say, I would say don't apply to schools where you don't meet minimum requirements, because you'd have to have a lot of other elements in your application in order for them to consider you to be a competitive applicant on the academic side. So once again, don't waste your money. Apply to schools you're eligible for. Check here for any final questions. If there is nothing that comes in the next couple seconds here, once again, it sounds like we might be ending early. Let's see if there's any other little piece of information. Boop, 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 boop. Cut through to the end here. Back to the clips of mohair because they're just gorgeous and I like to look at them. Oh, so pretty. All right, let's see. Any final Q&A questions coming in here? How many applications does Atlantic Bridge receive per year? Great question. So it changes year to year, but I'd say on average, we tend to get somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500 applicants on an annual basis. So once again, meeting minimum requirements allows you to be assessed, but the more competitive your academics are, the more competitive your letters of recommendation are, more competitive all the elements of your application are, you're going to have a stronger application compared to your peers who you're kind of competing against for these spots in the universities. Because once again, all the spots through Atlantic Bridge are dedicated to Atlantic Bridge students only. So your only competition is your peers who are applying with you. And that being said, definitely chat with your friends, see if anyone else is applying to these programs. You can compare your applications, talk about, hey, how did you approach the personal statement, or what things did you put on your resume? Because talking to other people really can help you impact and get a stronger application yourself. Chat with your teachers, chat with your professors. Chances are you probably have a college counselor at your high school or a career counselor at university. Those are great resources to utilize in preparation for these applications. So absolutely take advantage of those. They're there to support you. They're there to help your application. Can you share the email and contact again? I would be happy to. Let me go back to that last slide. So that phone number, 949-723-6318. It's a US-based number. Feel free to reach out to us. Once again, we're happy to chat with you. And the best email for all of us is going to be admissions@atlanticbridge.com. I'll leave that on the screen for just a few minutes here. And how many total Atlantic Bridge spots are available? It, once again, kind of changes year to year, but I'd say on average, it's usually somewhere between 350 and 400 total places across all the programs. So medicine, dentistry, physiotherapy, and pharmacy. About roughly, once again, 350 to 400 students go annually to the Irish schools. Great questions, guys. I'm loving it. Alrighty. I'm going to say that I think we answered all the questions today. I hope anyway. And if not, once again, feel free to give us a call. Feel free to give us an email. We want to be here to help support you. And sometimes there's just some questions you may not be comfortable asking in a webinar style situation. So totally understand that. We want to make sure you feel comfortable chatting with us. So with that being said, I'm going to give us a few extra minutes today and tack on a few minutes to your day. And really, I just want to say formally thank you for all of you to joining this presentation today. We really, really appreciated you having you here. This was the first one ever that Atlantic Bridge has done on a scale like this. So we're excited to have you be part of history with Atlantic Bridge. And we really just hope to see your application quite soon here. With that being said, goodbye for now, or as the Irish like to say, slán go fóill. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.